Carlie, how are we doing tonight, church? Are we happy? Hello, I am Carlie. If we have not met, I think I've met everyone because I already met our visitors. Beat all to it. I went in first. Who's happy that the weather's changed? It's getting cooler. Like, inside the building is taking its time to catch up, but I think it's getting better. It's good. Hey, tonight I really want to share something a little bit more. I hope you're okay with that. Oh, I need you to help me though. You've got to talk back to me. I need you to help because thank you. Thanks, Steve. Yeah. So I want to share something that I'm mid-process in. This week I'm struggling. Like, oh, what the heck do you want me to preach about? And he's like, preach to yourself. And that was challenging in and of itself because that means that I haven't figured this out yet. That means that I'm a real human. I don't know if you realise that. Like, everyone that preaches, everyone that shares their heart, they're still a human. Some people are already through the process and have come through the other side and can say, you know what, I'm a testament for what God can do in my life. Other people are still in it. Other people, we don't have it all figured out, all right? So we can all have grace for each other in this. Because we don't have it all together, but God's on our side. And you know what? We are works in progress, and He hasn't left us alone. He's carrying us through, and He's actually changing us, growing us. We just got to let Him do it. So, tonight, hey, drum roll. I'm going to talk about the commentary that goes on in our mind. Because, oh my gosh. It's a girl and a guy thing. It's everyone thing. We all think, right? And sometimes, worse than others, we get caught in our own heads, and what happens in our mind is different from what's actually reality, and it can send us spinning, and it can send us down the wrong track. Who knows, the dogs that think they're humans, so they become humans, okay? Going completely off track here, but, who's seen those dogs? You walk into their house and you're like, what is wrong with this dog? It gets every privilege that a child does. And the people that prepare the dog's food more than they make their own food, that is messed up. It's like, it's a dog. Like, I love my dog. He is the cutest. He's a little Jack Russell. You should see a photo of him after. Like, he is my dog, but he's still a dog. He is not human. But there is he comes to church sometimes. He gets saved. He comes down the front, gives his life to Jesus every time. No, it's not true. He's definitely not going to heaven. Sorry to crush anyone's hopes there. Woo, wow, I'm saying all these heretical things all up. Oh no. Okay. Line of a lamb. See that? I really wanted to find a video of a dog acting like a human, or like a lamb acting like a lion. So when they hang around each other, when they think a certain way, they start becoming like it, right? And I think it'd be really interesting if basketball players, right, they could hear the commentary that goes on from the box. How different they would play if they could hear it. Like, if they had that in their ears, how different they would be. It's like, I wish I could have time to catch up with all the basketball things. But, maybe Josh can help me out with football players and stuff. I don't know if you know the football players, but they've just made a real dodgy move, right? So they're already kicking themselves. But if they could hear what the commentary was going on up there, they'd be even worse. They'd be like spraying the ball every time and never getting it in and never kicking it. Because, our head is so powerful. Our head actually determines what goes on in our mind, and the commentary that goes on in our mind actually determines how we live, determines the game we play sometimes. And this is what I'm discovering is that, it's really hard sometimes to be intentional about what you think and to keep the commentary in your mind together, on track, in truth. Carlie hears voices. No, I am not schizophrenic. Oh, that's a can of worms. Sorry. Yeah. But what I've discovered is that our thoughts are so key in shaping our world. And we can be called to do great things. We can have all the talents in the world, but if we don't have our thoughts about ourselves lined up, if we don't have our thinking around our world and on track, then, we are likely to go off track completely and, waste time, waste opportunities, waste the call of God in our lives. And I'm in this midway through, God is shaping me and stretching me again, and I feel very out of my comfort zone, and I just want to run away because I don't feel capable of doing what God has called me to in this season. And if I'm in that position, I'm thinking, there's probably some people here that are in the same position. I know it's not just me, and maybe your struggle is something different, and it might be financially, being able to trust God and just feeling like, you're not capable of providing for your family, or, maybe mental health is an actual real struggle for you, and it's a real thing. Mental illness isn't for people that are unsaved, it's for Christians too sometimes. It's a real thing. And I don't know what you're struggling with, but I can probably guarantee that there's struggles here. We all have them. And they might be in different areas, but I find this comfort in the fact that, Peter's. I just want to share about Peter for a second, because I find comfort in his story, right? So, Peter is a cool guy. He's rather outspoken, a little bit like me in that he just says what he thinks and it gets him in trouble sometimes. But he was in a boat one time with all the other disciples, and there's Jesus walking along. And Jesus says, oh, come out on the water, not on the land. He says, come out and walk with me on the water. And Peter's like, great, that sounds like an awesome idea, Jesus. And walks out on the water. Awesome, right? Cool. He's walking on the water. But then he starts to sink. And then Jesus says to him afterwards, what's the heck's wrong with you? Like, why? You have little faith. But you know what? He actually needed to go through that stretching to be able to get to the place where later on down the track he is so solid in his faith. That time actually stretched him so that he knew who he was for down the track. He probably wouldn't have been able to see the miracles that he saw happen if he didn't walk that journey where he stepped out the boat, was stretched, realized he didn't have what it took in and of himself. He needed Jesus. He needed the strength that wasn't his own. And so, I think there's an extent to which if we're not being stretched in any area of our life, then we're probably not growing. Then we're probably not stepping into the call of God like we should. Stretching and uncomfortability is, part of being a Christian. And it's so healthy. But I know it sucks, okay? I know it does. Don't worry. Mid-process over here. I just want to share one verse that's going to really unpack this thought. It's in Proverbs 4, verse 23. So there's different versions of it. The one that I enjoyed, I think NCV, I don't even know what that is, but it says, be careful how you think. Your thoughts run your life. And other versions of it would say, guard your heart, because out of it flows the issues of life, or the wellspring of life. And that's so truthful. As I said before, we can have all the great things in our lives, but if we don't have our thinking on track with God, if we don't have our mind lined up with the Word of God, if we're not keeping on track, then we can waste a lot of things. Guarding our hearts is like being careful about the commentary that goes on about in our mind, the inner dialogue. Guarding your heart is the inner you, and I don't know about you. It's the conversation that goes on in the morning when you wake up. It's the conversation that happens after you get a speeding fine, or the conversation that happens after you just get into an argument. It's the day-to-day stuff. It's the being just a human. You know, it's not the glorious thing of on a Sunday and when you're down the front worshipping and that. It's the day-to-day stuff. It's intentionality every single day. But that's not easy. Being careful about how you think is actually so difficult sometimes because, you know, our circumstances wear us down. Sometimes the answer takes a really long time to get to us. You know, some people here have been waiting on a miracle from God for months, years, decades. But we've still got to come back to being careful about how we think. Being intentional about how we think. And not actually giving space to lies. Too many of us let lies rotate around in our head day in and day out, and it shapes the way that we live. You know, we look at great heroes of faith sometimes, and I think we tend to idolise them, which is fair. Like you read about all these stories of people in the Bible, and oftentimes we don't see the battle that they go through to get to the place where they see a great miracle. You know, probably the only couple of people that we see really falter and struggle with the call is, you know, Moses. So Moses is like, I can't talk, God. I can't do anything that you've asked me to do. You need to send someone else. God wants him to save the nation of Israel from slavery. And Moses is like, I'm just one person. I can't do this. You know, we see Gideon do the same thing, where he's like, I'm the smallest, most insignificant person you would have ever found. I cannot save these people. I cannot help you. And he sets out these fleeces 3 times over. I think it's 2 or 3 times, where he's like, you know what, God, if this is really you, then you've got to show me. Like, you better write it in the sky that this is you, because otherwise I can't do it. And then we also see David do the same thing, where he wrestles over and over with his inadequacy, his inability to, you know, be a good believer in God. But he doesn't know if God's going to come through. But in the end, he comes back to the truth. You know what? I trust you, God. Countless times through the Psalms. But there's so many other people that we've seen that have great breakthroughs. We don't often see the struggle they go through. But I can tell you that it's real. I'm here saying, you know what? I believe God has called me to great things. I believe God has called you to great things. This church to great things. And you know, Pastor Chris is just sharing over the past few weeks, and it's been blowing my mind. But at the same time, I'm in this moment where I just struggle with it because I don't see how it's going to happen. But you know what? We serve a good God. We serve a good Father. We have a God that is able to do the impossible. And you know what? He's going to do it because He's promised it. And so I'm here to say tonight that I'm keeping my thoughts on track, that God is going to do what He's promised. We can trust Him. It's going to happen. So I just, you know, I don't want to open this can of worms of this commentary and leave you thinking, oh, well, I don't know how to fix it. So I want to just share a couple of things that have helped me. Okay, it might not be good for you, but this has helped me fix the commentary that goes on in my head. And it's not necessarily in order, all right? Because you might say, well, that's more important. Okay, anyway. Number 1, get alone with God. Get alone with God. You know, me and my piano, we have good times together. That is my, I shouldn't say Zen space. That's right, no. That is my happy place. That's my happy place. Yeah. Oh, gosh. But sometimes the hardest thing to do is clear away the mess. But it's the thing you need to do, because to be able to hear God, we've got to get rid of our own thinking. You know, clear away. But sometimes the worries that we have, the fears, actually set us up. There's walls between us and God so that we can't hear Him. He hasn't gone anywhere. We just can't hear Him. So get alone with God and do it often. Often. That's speaking right to me. Are you hearing yourself, Carlie? Yeah, good. Awesome. Sometimes I'm so far in my own thinking that's so negative then I can't hear God. Okay, there's truth right there for me. And you might be the same. So one thing I do after that is I talk. I find people that are whole, healthy, people that love me, that love God, and I talk out what I'm thinking. Because you know what? Oftentimes they're going to bring me back to some truth. They're going to point me back to God. I even did it this morning. I was like, oh, I can't do this. And it's healthy to talk, to share what you're thinking. It's not this, oh, you're a failure. It's we're broken people, we're growing, we're learning. You don't have to have it all together. That was number 2, just if you... Number 3, one thing I found really helpful is acknowledging that the way I think about myself isn't always truth. Sometimes I think lies about myself. Sometimes I think I'm stupid and I'm not. And I think it's really healthy to be able to say, you know what? I am not the be-all and end-all. I don't get to say who I am. God is the one who says who I am. You know, I don't even know who I am to the furthest extent that I, should or could. But God does. So I'm happy for Him to change the way I think about me and being open. Because sometimes we are not even open to God speaking into that. Number 4, know what He says, and then be intentional about putting it into your world. There's this reality we've got to speak it sometimes until we believe it. We've got to mull on it until we believe it. Just because I know there's times where I've seen stuff in the Bible and I can't wrap my head around it. I can't even believe it sometimes, but I know it's God. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wrestle with this until I can come to the place where I will believe the truth. So I'm just going to run through some scriptures that talk right into this. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-discipline. He's given you what you need to be able to keep your mind in check. You know, it might not happen straight away, but it's a process. It says, don't be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may discern what is good, pleasing, and perfect will of God. That's Romans 12 verse 2. He's given us the ability to understand His heart, His mind. And sometimes we've got to throw out the old way of thinking, take the new one on that God has given us. 2 Corinthians 3 verse 6. I love this. He has made us competent ministers of the new covenant. So we don't have the ability in and of ourselves to be people that give off love and minister and everything, but He has made us competent. He's the one who strengthened us. He's the one that will give us words to share to our non-Christian friends at work. He's the one that will give love to us so that we can give it to others. As we talked about this morning, bless us that we might bless others. He is the one who makes us competent to be ministers of the new covenant. Philippians 2 verse 13. It is God who is working in you, enabling you both to desire and to work out His good purposes. You know, sometimes we don't even want to do what God wants us to do, but He is able to even put the desire in you to get there. You know, we don't even have to worry about that. Like, we just submit to God, put ourselves in a place where we're open to Him, and He's going to work it out in us. But we still have to put ourselves in that place. And you know, there's times where we've got to be disciplined in the way that we look after our head. Be careful what you think, how you think. Be careful about the commentary that's going on in your mind. Philippians 1 verse 6 says, He who started a good work in you will carry it on to completion. He's not going to leave you halfway, all vulnerable and broken. He's the God that restores, that heals, that fixes. He will put us back together, and the trophy that is our lives afterwards will be even more powerful and touch other people in the process. from, but the last one I had written down is Corinthians 3, I think it is. I have the mind of Christ. It goes through all of this stuff, and then at the end it says, we have the mind of Christ. You know, Jesus did all of this stuff. And we read all the way through this chapter about how God has been so good in revealing these mysteries of past. And now we get to know God, we get to know Christ, and we even have his mind. That's a good promise. And you know, the Bible is full of it. The Bible is full of promises. The Bible is full of truth that will change your life. You know, we're not just called to live mediocre lives where we get up, go to work, come home, make dinner, play with our kids for a bit, and then our kids. Yeah, wow. And then go to bed and then do the same thing and then come to church on a Sunday. You know, each of us have gifts, have talents, have a call, have something specific that God has intended that we would do. And when we check in with that, you know, we are going to be so alive. Our lives are meant for more. What's that word that you've been sharing? What is it? No, the prophetic one. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. And that's the truth. Our lives, they are called to be bigger than that. What you've thought your influence was, it's bigger than that. But it starts here. It starts with fixing the commentary in our mind and being intentional about how we think. Getting on track with how God sees us, how God thinks about us. No, I was going to play a song, but I think I've run out of time for that, so that's cool. Do it. You want me to do it? Do it? Okay. All right, I'm going to finish by singing a song. I need some water first. That's all right. It's a song that's actually gotten me through stuff as well. Sorry for the awkward little transitions. Hey. Woo. It's called Prophesy a Promise. And Rachel's going to put the words on the screen. I just want you to, soak in it for a bit. Just enjoy it. Don't have to sing along. Just the lyrics are up there so you know what I'm singing if I don't sing them. And the lies I once believed, they crumble with the weight of your truth. And the fear that gripped my heart is arrested, so that I can see you. When I only see in part, I will prophesy your promise. I believe you, God, 'cause you finish what you start. I will trust you in the process. I believe you, God. Fear can go to hell, and shame can go there too. I know whose I am. God, I belong to you. Fear can go to hell, and shame can go there too. I know whose I am. God, I belong to you. Oh, I belong. When I only see in part, I will prophesy your promise. I believe you, God, 'cause you finish what you started.